Welcome back to Tidy Up Texan, or welcome if you're new. In today's video, we have a ton of cleaning, decluttering, organizing, yard work, and a little laundry motivation, but not in that order. First, we're going to start with a little bit of laundry. I got a couple loads I need to get started. I was planning to film the laundry from start to finish, but it just didn't end up that way. Today was the first cool day in months. As you see, I'm wearing a sweater, but it ended up being a perfect day to get some lawn work done. But the grass was a little damp this morning, so instead I started doing laundry first. And then once I got to the second load, the grass was dry enough to finish what we had started the day before, which on this day really kicked my butt. So I wasn't able to finish filming all the laundry. And on top of that, Aunt Flo arrived. You ladies know we all related to Aunt Flo. So on this first day, I was exhausted. All right, I've got the first load going. And of course, Lily is my laundry buddy. She's always with me when I do the laundry. The other two buttholes over there by the fence are playing with the neighbor's dogs. And as you can see, we did get started on the lawn the day before. But the day before, it had gotten really hot really fast. So we didn't quite finish the section we started on. So once I get the second load started, we're going to switch gears and head outside. This washer has been giving me issues with balancing, and when it goes into the spin cycle, it violently shakes. It can be really frustrating. I have to constantly adjust the load inside so that it can spin correctly, but it turns out our guest who is renting one of the rooms, she is selling her washer and dryer. So Ryan and her struck a deal, and now we are taking over her washer and dryer, which makes me really excited. I haven't seen them yet, but I know that they are much newer than the ones that we have here. All right, we are switching gears and moving on to the lawn. And as you can see, we got started on this side, but didn't quite finish. So I'm gonna tackle this little patch here and then move on to carving out a little pathway to the warehouse, which you'll see in a second is super overgrown. You can't see him, but Ryan is weed eating against the house, and he found something kind of interesting. We had never seen an insect like this. I actually had to look it up. It is a giant leopard moth. We've never seen one, but have you guys seen this? And look, there's a little butterfly pattern on his back. We've been here in Texas for about 4.5 years, and it never ceases to amaze me all of the insects that we find here. We don't have this back in California. But anyways, this is the section of lawn that I got done today, and we are going to move on to the next day. On this day, I had planned just to do a tiny little patch on this side, so I didn't start filming it. But again, it was such a nice day. So Ryan and I ended up doing a ton more than we had anticipated. But as you can see off to the left, it is super, super, super overgrown and really hard to get through. Oh, and our neighbors' dogs were out. So, of course, our dogs and their dogs are running along the fence, just having a good old time. And by the time they were done and we were done, we were all exhausted and knocked out. And it's hard to tell on camera, but this is a very large section. The camera just doesn't do it justice, but we were happy to get done as much as we did. And we are hoping by next month, we will finally get a ride-on mower and get everything back under control. All right, this section is finally done. And now for the main event, my closet. It has once again gotten out of control. So we are going to come in here and declutter, organize, and reset. Things in here have just been piling up. Our cats spend a lot of time in here. So of course they have the kennel and their cat tower. And because there's not any built-ins in this room, I've got a lot of makeshift storage. And of course, clutter collects clutter. So let's get this room under control. Every time I come in here, I feel super overwhelmed, and the thought of getting it started stresses me out. On my side of the closet, it's not too bad. Everything is pretty much where it's going to stay, but there are a couple things I want to relocate, and my side needs a little bit of a dusting. But first, I'm going to start on Ryan's side. This carpet cleaner is got to go. It didn't work well anyway, so we got a new one. His shoes weren't too bad. I ended up decluttering one pair of slippers, but our cats like to knock over Ryan's shoes and lay on the shoe stand, and as you can see, there is a ton of fur behind here, so I definitely want to get this area cleaned up. So in a room like this where almost everything needs to be touched, it can be hard to figure out where to start. So the best method for me is to start from one side of the room and do small sections, and as I move along around the room and start seeing progress, the task gets less and less overwhelming. All right, now that I've got this little section clean, I can start putting things back. And like I said, for the most part, Ryan's shoes are pretty good. I'm going to tidy up the little basket full of sandals and slippers and make it look just a little bit nicer. All right, this section is complete. On this section, we're going to clear out as much as possible. On this top portion here, I'm going to clear everything out, give it a good wipe down, and then reorganize everything. Now I know it's hard to see because this is a very shiny surface, but it is super dusty. The camera just doesn't do it justice. But once I start wiping it down, you'll definitely see the difference. Already it looks so much better, and I really do love this shelf because it is so easy to clean and it looks wonderful when it's done. Alright, now to put everything back, and this top half will be done. When I put everything back, I'm trying not to overdo it. This shelf is a lot smaller than it appears, and Ryan has a lot of things that he likes to display, so I'm doing my best not to make it look crowded. Alright, the top half is complete. Now this bottom half is more storage than anything. In the white basket, I have our sheets and extra blankets. The gray bin is a bunch of miscellaneous stuff. And then the bags on the bottom is beach gear, my tools, and a bag of keepsakes. But I really don't like how it looks, so we're going to change that. The heater and globe will be relocated, as well as everything in that gray bin, which I'm now going to use that gray bin for all Ryan's baseball cards. And if you're wondering why I have plastic set over my sheets, that is to keep the fur from getting all over my sheets. Already that's looking so much better. I have been moving these baseball cards all over the room, and now I wish I had thought of this sooner. Alright, for the last shelf, let's clear it out and rearrange it. I'm going to use this basket to contain all of my beach gear. I'm going to relocate my bag of keepsakes, but my bag of tools will stay as they are. Up on top where the hat storage is, I took down a small box of baseball cards that Ryan was still going through, so I'm going to stuff them in the hat box for now and get rid of this box. All right, we are done with section number 2. Already that looks 10 times better. So let's move on to section 3, the top of the dresser. Ryan is notorious for throwing everything on top of the dresser, both the one in here and the one in our room. So anything that needs to be rewashed or is dirty, I'm going to toss in the laundry, and the rest I'll put back where it belongs. And I can tell it's been longer than I thought since I've been in here, because all of our dogs' jackets and sweaters were still up here from last winter. So I'll be putting those back in the pet dresser, aka our TV stand. This dresser and under the clothing rack stresses me out the most. These are the two spots that constantly collect clutter. You know how you can put tinfoil on surfaces to keep cats from jumping on it? I wish I can find something that has the same effect when placing junk on top of the dressers, because that is one of my biggest pet peeves. All right, we finally got it all cleared off. Let's give this dresser a wipe down and put back only what we're displaying. In my son's room, I was using this little black table to hold his PlayStations on temporarily, but I switched it out and tossed it in here, but it just crowds up the room, so I'm going to remove it. All right, now I can slide this dresser back over and call this section done. Now the last section of this side of the room, I had brought in some things I wanted to keep from my office, and we have a small utility room on the side here, so I'm going to stick those in there for now. And now I can clean up my kitty's hangout spot. Oddly enough, the dog kennel is their favorite place to lay, especially my 15-year-old kitty. He spends most of his day in this kennel, but he sleeps with me at night. But this cat is something special. My youngest son, who is now 18, he is autistic. And when he was little, he was nonverbal. And because of that, he would often get frustrated and start throwing tantrums. And without any training, this cat, still being a kitten at the time, became his emotional support animal. And when my son was throwing a tantrum, he would go and sit in his lap and help him calm down. And even to this day, he is very good about showing up when we are sick or not in the best of moods. He is very good at coming up to you and comforting you. All right, now that I've gotten everything tidied up in this section, I'm going to remove this kennel and vacuum behind it. There was a couple pair of jeans on top of the dresser that I need to hang, but the kennel was in the way. So I'm going to hang those up, and then I'm going to put the kennel against the wall this time. Last but not least, wiping down these shelves. I have no idea when, what, or how something spilled on these shelves, but they were filthy. But I'm not a fan of these shelves and I plan to get rid of them. But until I can find something I like, I'm stuck with this. All right, Ryan's side is complete, and it would appear I have a happy kitty as well. But now we can move on to my side of the closet, which isn't that bad. I'm going to put this carpet cleaner in my utility room, vacuum up this cat tree, and of course clean behind it. As for my little closet system I have going, it is well organized, so I'm just going to dust the top of it. And everything that I've been decluttering in this room has been piling up by the door, so I'll need to pick all that up and clear it out of the room. I had a few handbags that I was storing in my suitcase in my office, so I need to hang those up, and I also have some travel bags that are hanging that need to be put into the suitcase. So I may go ahead and switch those out. All right, now I can start clearing out the room, getting everything into their new homes, and then finally vacuum and mop the rest of the floors. All right, we are finally done. I hope you have enjoyed today's video. Hopefully it has motivated you or inspired you to tackle a space in your home or yard, or at the very least entertain you. And if so, go ahead and hit that like button, say hello in the comments, or subscribe if you're new. And as always, you guys are the best, and I thank you so much for spending your time here with me today. I love you, and until next time, bye.